I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a couple announcements. The 2022 Summer Concert Series continues this week with Holden back. Come to the Common to see the band tomorrow at 6:30. Grafton Recreation Doggy Dip Day is Sunday, August 14th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Silver Lake Beach. Take your four-legged friend for a swim. And there are no public hearings tonight, and the first up for appointment is the temporary part-time employee for the sewer department, Vincent Drago. Is Vincent with us?
Vinny's not here.
No, I don't believe we asked him to come in. So he
Because it's
was
temporary.
he was a 38-year employee, and so we're appointing him to be able to stay on and help out in times when people are on vacation or we're down coverage.
Fair enough.
So that's all we're doing.
Okay, great. So I can take a motion. Oh, do we need to do a roll call because Andy's
Yep.
remote?
In
All right,
theory, you do. Yeah.
let's just do that real quick. We'll do a roll call. Ray?
Well, nobody put a motion on the floor yet.
No, you're just certifying your ear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me, I.
Often is present.
Roy?
Yeah, I'm present.
Present.
Fully aye.
I'm on
Here.
camera.
I guess.
Andy, are you here?
Jefferson here.
Awesome. Okay, moving on. So we can take a motion for Vincent Drago for a temporary part-time employee at the sewer department.
I move
the board.
go ahead.
I move the board vote to appoint Vincent Drago to the position of temporary part-time employee for the sewer department.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor by roll call. Ray?
Me, I.
Matt?
Often I.
Roy, aye. Emery?
Fully aye.
Andy?
Jefferson, I.
Declare the motion carried. Next up is Cable TV Oversight. There are 2 seats available for this committee. First up, we have Sean McGavey. Yeah, come on up.
Is that me?
Yeah, did I say it right?
McAfee.
McAfee, I apologize.
Close enough. I've been called a lot worse. All right. So, as you know, I'm on a couple other different committees in town, and I've been in front of the camera. So I thought it might be nice to see what happens a little bit behind the camera, type of thing, and also help out with, trying to get the word out, different things on that idea. When I was working, I was heavily involved in event planning because I was the guy setting up the event, such as like the road crew, for example. Every home contest we had, I was the first one in, last one out, setting up events and games and such as that. So I have experience there. I have some experience as an electrician. So if there's a need to, string wires together, hook up equipment, stuff like that, I feel that would help also. And then I guess the other really big reason to go is so I can hang out again with Jim Gallagher and Bob DeToma. It's only other better thing than that is to come and hang out with you folks every week. So,
That's right.
so unless you have any questions, that's about all I got.
Does the board have any questions?
Nope.
I'm just interested in, I guess besides what you've said already, if you have any sort of passion for technology and telecoms in particular.
Getting beyond how to work a VCR? Yes, as a matter of fact, yes. Trying to, not so much a passion for it, but just to, even though photography isn't involved in this, I do like a lot of photography stuff, so take that a step further to try to figure out, filming and things of that nature. So, if that's kind of like answering or leaning towards what you're looking for, sure.
Sure, yeah, there's nothing specific that I'm looking for,
right.
just, kind of passion for that topic and the, things that are in the charge of that committee, so thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sean, what other committees are you on?
Veterans Advisory Committee,
Okay, yeah.
Affordable Housing, and Economic Development.
Great. Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
And what? Budgets. Oh,
Jim says
that's
to
a
say.
given. If he says we're gonna do it, we'll do it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Up next, we have Larry Silverman. Hi, Larry. I see you're joining us via Zoom.
Yes.
So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're excited to possibly be a part of this committee.
Okay. My entire life until I retired was spent in the broadcast industry, but with the manufacturers supplying it. I worked for Sony for 10 years. I worked for the American Broadcasting Company in Hollywood, worked for Tribune Broadcasting, Channel 56 in South Boston. I was a design consultant. In fact, I designed the audio-visual portions of the very room you're in, as well as the FinCom room upstairs, and I did the cabling on that room myself. I had previously been on the committee. I was the chairman at the time that we took the first small step towards moving into the police station, former police headquarters. And I enjoyed the work. I left. I didn't like Tim McInerney's personal skills, but I'd be happy to be back on it. I missed it.
Okay. Any questions from the board? All right. So what year did you get off, Mr. Silverman? Off the committee?
Oh boy. I don't know. It's 75 years of age. Well, Tim was still the town manager or administrator, I guess is the right word. Rick was, it predates COVID. So let's say maybe 2017.
Okay. Thank you. Any other
Thanks, Larry.
questions? No. Perfect. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Up next, we have Paul Skarmaeus. Apologize if I didn't say that correctly. And I see you are also joining us via Zoom. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're excited to possibly join this committee.
Hi there, Paul Skarmas. You can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Paul Skarmas. I'm at 6 Hovey Pond Drive in North Grafton. Pretty much my entire work life, I've worked in IT systems for a few different companies. I graduated from the producers course from cable in Grafton a few years back, and I'm just interested in getting involved with cable related matters and in opportunities.
Awesome. Any questions for Paul? Do you currently serve on any other boards or committees?
I do not know.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to appoint Sean McAvee and Paul Skarmaeus to the Cable TV Oversight Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
I think this represents pretty good diversity in terms of skill set, so I agree.
It's nice to get new faces on committees, so nothing against Mr. Silverman because he's served on the committee, so that's wonderful. But it's always nice to get somebody else to have a new turn too. So, if there's no further discussion, I can do roll call, right?
Mead, aye.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
Okay, declare the motion carried. Congratulations and thank you so much, Mr. Silverman, for coming in, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future. As far as Mr. McAvery and Mr. Skarmaeus, I think you'll receive a letter to get sworn in at the town clerk's office in the future.
Great.
We
Thank you
didn't
so
set it
much.
up tonight like the last time, so. All right, thank you. Up next is Council on Aging. We have one seat available on that committee and two applicants. First up is Anna Robinson.
Good evening. I am very active at the senior center right now. We have a great senior center. And I have been on the Friends Board for 6 years and just recently left the board to give someone else a chance. I am at the senior center every day. I'm exercising. I'm talking to people. All my life, I've worked with seniors as well as a social worker and then as a librarian. So I think I have a good knowledge of the issues that face seniors, and I'm a very good advocate for senior citizens in our community. Any questions?
All right, hearing none, thank you so much. Up next is Eliza Shara. Apologize. Is Eliza with us tonight?
I do not see her on Zoom.
Did we happen to get confirmation that she would be attending?
Not that I'm aware of. We only have the one that was sent to you earlier today.
Okay, how does the board want to proceed? Do we want to hold off and maybe do this at the end and see if she joins us while we're looking at the other ones, or just make the appointment now?
Oh, we can make the appointment as far as I'm concerned.
What? She is.
She just come on?
Yep.
Hi, Eliza. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for your patience, and I apologize for the delay.
Your
Hope
timing,
you're all staying cool.
your timing's perfect.
Yeah, timing's perfect.
Literally
That-
could not have been.
Great.
1 second later.
I don't hear that often.
All right, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're excited to potentially serve on the Council on Aging.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. So Eliza Shara, my husband and I moved to Grafton with, at the time, our one child in May of 2019. We have since had a daughter who finally just got down to sleep. So she's 14 months. I've been professionally employed in finance for 13 years. I currently work full-time at Bank of America for my day job. I'm the program manager for the retail banking engagement and inclusion program. I am interested in the Council on Aging for a couple of reasons. So one, to be frank, I don't believe in letting seniors do all the work. I don't think it's just about folks, who are impacted being responsible for taking care of themselves. I believe in a sort of community of service, a community of abundance. And I'm looking forward to learning more about how I can help be of service with a community that's close to my heart, because I'm very close to my grandparents, and especially as they, in some cases, are aging more significantly, and in some cases have, dealt with end of life and passed away. I've seen some of the difficulties that they have faced, and I have seen some of the difficulties that they have not faced because of the privilege that they have. So it's made me kind of wonder, what about the rest of folks who maybe aren't in similar situations but still have similar needs as they age? Folks don't need any less dignity or respect or care because they've reached a certain age or can no longer work. So that's one. The other is professionally, for the past 5 years, before end of March, I was working still at Bank of America, but in a part of the organization called Client Protection. And my role in particular was running the program around fraud prevention and scam avoidance messaging. And a lot of what I was focused on with that was client segmentation, meaning what clients have different fraud education and scam avoidance education needs. One of those segments, in large part, as directed by our regulators, were elders or seniors. So elder abuse, elder fraud, scams targeting elders, unfortunately, are not slowing down anytime soon, but they just are, they're getting faster, they're getting more clever, and they're tricking folks who I'm very close to. And again, it makes me wonder, how prevalent is this issue when folks don't have maybe as much personal information or education as when I'm calling my grandma saying, "Hey, have you gotten any unusual phone calls? Here's what you do. Don't if you have questions, call me." So I'd love to be able to hopefully put that good to some use. So I think boiling it down is, based on my relatively speaking limited experience and exposure. I would love to be able to learn more about this community and to offer what I have learned to hopefully be able to serve the community as a whole. Happy to answer any questions.
Does the board have any questions for Eliza?
No, just a comment that was very well constructed commentary.
Yes.
Thank you.
And good timing.
Thanks.
Yeah, I really want to put you in touch with our senior center and see about creating just programming for them to come in and just be advised on some of the latest and greatest scams out there. I think that would be even really beneficial to try to
That'd be
figure
fantastic.
that out. Okay, if that's all, I can take a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to appoint Eliza Shara to the Council of Aging.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none by roll call, Ray?
Mead eye.
Matt?
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Andy?
Jefferson, aye.
Okay. Declare the motion carried. Congratulations, Eliza, and thank you so much, Mrs. Robinson. We hope to see you again in the future.
Great. Thank you so much. Sounds great. Anything else from me tonight?
No, you'll receive a letter and then you'll get sworn in down at the town clerk's office.
Okay, sounds great. I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks everybody for the opportunity. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
up next is Cultural Council, and there are currently 7 members on that committee, and this committee can have up to 22 members, and we have quite a few people interested tonight. So first up is Joycelyn Davidson. Is Joycelyn with us? Okay, moving right along to Miss Julie Feeney. I see Julie's on Zoom right there. If you could just
Hi,
tell us a little
everyone.
bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on the Cultural Council.
Sure, thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sure can.
Okay. So I'm interested in the Cultural Council. I was looking for ways to get more involved in town. We are relatively new to Grafton. We moved here, luckily, right close to the start of the pandemic. And I've just been very impressed with our town. I see a lot of opportunities in terms of growth for the Cultural Council and funding. I am also one of the founding members of Grafton Rise, Racial Inclusion and Social Equity. And we were very fortunate to get a grant for Juneteenth this past year. And I know that there's a lot of other groups that are either pre-existing or are becoming established in Grafton. I think the Cultural Council is kind of an exciting way to build a future for Grafton that is fully embracing both the older traditions, but also the newer members that are moving here. Like I know that India Day, there's been some talk about growing that, and with the establishment of Indigenous Peoples Day, I just feel like there's a lot of opportunities for supporting different paths for cultural connections in Grafton. In the past, a long time ago, was a member of the Cultural Council in Hudson. So I'm not unfamiliar with the workings of cultural councils and the grant funding process. I also have, again, in the past served on various committees in other towns where I have lived. In Worcester, I was a member of the Civil Rights Commission, which I believe the name has changed of that committee. But as far as Grafton is concerned, I have not yet had the opportunity to serve. So I wanted to just submit my name and see what came of it. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them.
Does the board have any questions? All right. Thank you so much for telling us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you.
Up next is Sarah Kinsman.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. I currently sit on the Cultural Council, so I'm actually seeking a second term. I very much consider when we're looking at applications, how does this serve the community? We look at Grafton candidates and applications first, and then start to look at beyond that and how it will serve the town if it's somebody that's not a resident in Grafton or a community in Grafton, or I'm sorry, a business in Grafton. During my time on the Cultural Council, I became very well versed in Massachusetts Cultural Council rules and regulations, making sure that we stay true to those. And when there are any kind of needs to have follow-up from the candidates, that's where I take the leadership on that. So I do seek out any additional information that we might need from applicants to make sure that their application has been completed properly, and if there's anything else that's outstanding that we might need to follow up with them on. I'm also an artist myself, so making sure that we're supporting art in our community is very important to me, and also making sure that, especially during COVID times, that we considered how we treated events like the Wednesday concerts on the green, and making sure that if we were not able to hold those, how those funds would carry over to this year so that we'd still have that supported. We also make sure that we look at first-time applicants versus someone who might have applied several years in a row, so that those first-time applicants do have the first right to those funds.
Right, so you're already on. Did we miss you during the annual appointment process?
Yes, so I actually was considering stepping down, and then my colleagues had encouraged me to reapply because they felt that I was integral to the council, so that follow-up communication to applicants was very important, so they asked me to reapply and come back.
Very nice. I just wanted to apologize if we overstepped
Nope,
there.
that was me.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions for Sarah?
I just have one. You say in your letter that you're a member of another group, and that it would be difficult for you to be impartial.
I don't think that's my letter.
I think that's the next person.
Yep.
I think that was Julie's letter, wasn't it?
This is the only committee.
I'm sorry. It's Julie Feeney right there. She is the culprit. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that you can step down at any time. You don't have to, anyway. You know what? I'll pay attention.
Why start now?
I know. Why start now?
Real positive change right there.
Sarah, I'm glad your colleagues had the conversations with you, and thanks for your willingness to continue to serve.
Yeah, Jocelyn, yours says nothing about that.
Jocelyn has not joined us.
Again,
Okay, I'm going home tonight.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Up next is Maureen Sweeper.
Matt, you're supposed to be watching
I'm
me.
sorry, man. Sorry. I'll pay attention to you now.
Everyone. Thank you for allowing me to join tonight. My first time running for anything, really. And I just wanted to apply for this because I love different cultural events and I love learning about different cultures. I am actually only a second generation person in the US myself. My family comes from Ireland. Have a lot of different family across the world and different friends from across the world. My sister-in-law is an amazing person who lives in Malaysia and does like ultra running and things like that. And lots of friends in like Canada and like all different areas of the world. And I just love learning about different cultures. And so that's something that I really enjoy. Also just came out of a week of doing an international arts competition called Gish, which was insane. Got to do a lot of really interesting tasks. I don't know if any of you guys saw some of the weird stuff I was doing on Buy Nothing Group, but we did all sorts of interesting kinds of art pieces that were inspired by different cultures from like Japan and Mexico and France and Germany. It was really cool. And I love meeting new people. And I got to meet like hundreds of new people from across the world when I participated in that. And all of them got to see my art. It was a lot of fun. I think I would bring a different kind of mindset to the council just because of my interests and some of my travels and some of the places that I have gone and some of the people that I have interacted with. I've only been in Grafton for about 8 years now. It has been a little bit difficult for me to participate in some things in town because I do have a invisible disability. It has led to some fatigue and some issues where it's been hard to balance work in marketing operations, which is my full-time job, being a full-time dog mom to our mare Sammy, and also wife to my wonderful husband Daniel, who is amazing and supportive. But I think this would be a great place for me to get my feet wet and kind of start participating in town and getting to know more people. I was really fortunate and happy to share some of our town history in the art competition I was just in. I got to meet with Nancy Therian at the Grafton Historical Society and got to take a whole bunch of pictures to share and Gish. So that was a lot of fun and got to share some of our town's history with the world. I'd love to do other things like that and be able to participate and to learn more about the process of working with the town and helping other groups.
All right, very nice. Any questions for Maureen?
I'm not gonna say a word.
Yeah, good idea.
Just a couple
Sorry,
comments.
gift of gab, I can talk.
Congratulations on having the dog mayor of Grafton. Very exciting. Secondly, super excited to see people newly volunteering. It bodes well for community engagement in general in Grafton. So always really excited to see new people show up for letters of interest for appointments. So thanks.
Andy?
Matt kind of beat me to it. I was going to say more of the same. I was really pleased at the amount of people that applied for cultural council in particular. Great to see some new faces and some people with good experience in there. Really, really happy with everyone who turned out.
Very nice. Just one last, that's it. Do you have a question?
Just wondering, for Jocelyn, should we invite her back another date or?
Yeah, I think so. I was actually going to say just one last call for her if she was maybe in the attendees, and if not, then we can just motion to appoint the other 3 applicants, and we can reach out to Jocelyn and see how her feelings are. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I move the board vote to appoint Julie Feeney, Sarah Kinsman, and Maureen Sweer to the Cultural Council.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none by roll call, Ray?
Need I?
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, aye.
Okay, declare the motion carried. Congratulations, everybody, and you'll receive a letter soon to get sworn in. Okay, up next is the Accessibility Advisory Committee. There is 1 seat, and one of the applicants has signaled that they are stepping down their interest, so we will just be hearing from Alexis Henry tonight, if Alexis is here.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm actually a long-term resident of Grafton. My husband and I have been here since 1988, so I think that's 34 years if I've done my math right. Mm-hmm. I'm an occupational therapist by training. The last almost 20 years I've been a faculty member at UMass Medical School, where I've led a disability, I've had a variety of roles, but my work has been primarily to lead a disability group that does both research and program development and, sorry, I'm just having a moment of brain.
It's all good.
The lights are bright.
I'm rubbing off. I'm rubbing off on you. Don't worry.
Had a brain freak.
You're doing great.
So I have led a group called the Disability Health and Employment Policy Unit, where our focus has been to enhance the opportunities for employment for people with disabilities, primarily in Massachusetts, and we did that through a variety of kinds of programs. A lot of our work has been with employers to help them develop to become more accessible in including people with disabilities in their workplaces. My role has been primarily as the unit director and also as a researcher. So I have done considerable work in looking at the experiences of people with disabilities relative to employment, understanding barriers to employment for people with disabilities, access to healthcare services for people with disabilities. Most recently, I've been leading an evaluation of a Department of Mental Health effort to enhance access to services for primarily transition age youth and young adults who are at risk for behavioral health conditions. And our role as the evaluator is to help the department develop and launch community-based access centers to create low barrier centers where young adults can come and get services that they need in a very youth-friendly, peer-driven, easily accessed, kind of low barrier access to services. My role as the evaluator has been to really help the department build these models and understand how they can best serve young adults. I've recently, well, it's actually not that recently. I retired in 2018, so it's been 4 years since I officially retired, but I have continued in my role at UMass Medical School in a post-retirement faculty position, continuing to do some of the evaluation work that I've been doing. I'm now in the process of transitioning some of that work to other people. So I am looking for an opportunity to bring the expertise that I have, both as a, really as a provider, as an evaluator, and my understanding of primarily services for people with disabilities to the work of the committee. I've done a lot of work with the disability serving agencies in Massachusetts over the years. I'm very familiar with the Department of Mental Health, the Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission, the Department of Developmental Services. So I'm looking for an opportunity to bring the expertise that I have and the background and experience that I have to the commission. I also have experience in my family of disability. I'm the parent of a young adult with a disability. I have recently assisted my my brother with a disability to live independently for the first time at the age of 70. So, I haven't served on town commissions before, and looking for an opportunity to bring that expertise and experience and interest to Grafton.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. Does the board have any questions?
Fellow Sergeant alum, by the way.
Oh, great. What year?
88. PT.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
All right. Well, hearing none, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to appoint Alexis Henry to the Accessibility Advisory Commission.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none by roll call, right?
Mead eye.
Often aye.
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, aye.
Perfect.
Okay.
Declare the motion carried. Congratulations.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the chance.
Up next is the EDC. We have Nicole Ether. Is she with us? Is Nicole? Nope.
Ether.
Ether.
That's what it is.
Listen,
No,
we
she's
all
not
have
on
our
Zoom.
downfalls, right? This is mine.
Yeah, there were way too many names. in
Peter
one.
wasn't any better.
Person who shouldn't be correcting tonight.
Well,
I don't have any. I don't
Okay.
see any correspondence from.
all right, and she was on a list for a few committees, so we will, put that to the side, and if she shows back up. So the next up, we'll do the Historic District Commission. We'll start with Gary Gary Jem. Is Gary with us? Okay, moving right along, we'll go to the Historical Commission and look for Alex Cole. Do we have an Alex Cole with us? Okay, hearing none. Open Space and Rec Commission, Trevor Holden. I can see him. So why don't you come on
Say
down?
we just appoint him.
Yeah, just, just give us a quick brief why you're excited to be on it. This is for, just because we went really quick there, this is for Open Space and Rec Committee.
Sort of just to get involved a little bit more in the town. I have a young son, so, just making sure the town stays how it is, I guess, or, as best as it can.
Okay.
That was quick. I didn't.
No, that's quick is okay. It's fine.
No, I didn't expect to be up here that fast. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Andy, is that a question or not a question?
I might have jumped the gun a little on clicking the hand, but sure, it would come up anyway. So, Trevor, glad to see you here applying. It did say you were also interested in one of the agricultural commission seats. Is that something that you intend to apply for both, or would you prefer to do one or the other?
I'm sort of open to doing both, or however it works, however it plays out.
I was going to ask the same thing, like if you only wanted one, given that you
Yeah, do you have a preference?
Or but if you want both, that's okay too.
The agricultural, I would be more, I guess, apt to do.
Okay, because I think generally we do try to give as many opportunities to as many people as possible, so
Absolutely.
that's why we're asking.
All
It
right.
just came up because it was open space.
Of course. Yep.
And you showed up, so that was step one. So good job for that. I can take a motion if anybody's ready.
I move to appoint Trevor Holden to the Open Space and Recreation Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All
Well,
those in favor? Oh,
just in the way of discussion, are we gonna, so there's one seat, are we gonna wait for people to weigh in who may, so Nicole, I think, applied for a number of different ones,
So did Gary.
yeah, okay. So I guess that being the case, yeah.
And they get notified, eh? Is that what, they're emailed or something? Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Everyone's aware that they should take them.
All right, so, yeah, I'm happy to move forward.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor by roll call, Ray?
Mead eye.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, I.
All right, declare the motion carries. Congratulations. I'll call you up again in a second.
Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, you want to just jump to agriculture?
Yeah, do you want to do agriculture real
Yeah.
quick?
Right there.
Just sit back down.
Sit
Yeah,
back
just
down.
sit right back down. Is there anything specific about agriculture that you are excited about?
Let me tell you. No. I guess everything about it. So just, becoming more involved again with the town and the agricultural commission and seeing what's actually going on in town. So
Yeah, seems like it'll be a good fit. All right, so I can take a motion for that as well.
I move to appoint Trevor Holden to the Agricultural Commission.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor by roll call.
Mead eye.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, I.
Okay, declare the motion carried. Congratulations.
thank you very much.
All right, up next is Zoning Board of Appeals. We have one seat and two applicants, and one applicant we know is not here, so the next is Peter Adams, who I can see. I like when I can see the people.
All right, thanks for showing up.
Good evening. I'm a lifelong resident of Grafton, attended all Grafton schools, went here till the 10th grade, actually, double sessions. It was great.
Excuse me just one second. Is this going to be long?
Well, I mean,
You don't have to listen to him. He is
really.
we're going to sell tapes.
He used to
after.
chase cows too, but you don't.
Currently, where was I? Thanks, Ray.
double. You were in 10th grade. Moving on.
Grafton
Double
schools,
sessions,
Grafton
double
High
sessions.
School, the Army. I'm a Vietnam veteran. Stockbridge School of Agriculture up at UMass. Then I ended up in construction, heavy equipment, for commercial projects, housing, built houses, probably a dozen in Grafton. Right now, I'm semi-retired. My wife has a boarding facility on Brigham Hill. She does all the day-to-day. I don't. But I do some of the dirt work up there. So On the municipal side, I've been on ZBA since the late 90s. I got off in, I think it was 16 or 17, because I did a 40B on Wheeler Road, and I was advised by ethics that I could stay on, but I couldn't talk in my own behalf on my own development, so that wouldn't have worked too good. So I got off for 3 or 4 years and applied and got on as an alternate, which you just reappointed me a month ago, so I've been on Affordable Housing Committee, Affordable Housing Trust, when it turned over for 11 years. Sat in your seats for 9 years, and all the committees that you always get volunteered for. And ZBA is, to most people, it's boring, but I learned something on every case, and that's what I got interested in it. At first, it was probably difficult, and cases are difficult sometimes, because sometimes you have to tell people something they don't want to hear, but I do enjoy it, and I'd rather be a full-time member again than an alternate. Being an alternate, you still have to read everything. I visit every site that when we have a case, so you have to go through all the motions and the work, but you might not get to vote, so.
All right. Well, thank you. Any questions?
I just have one question. Peter, I really appreciate your service and all the time that you have in. We're in a very different situation now that we're in Safe Harbor. And I guess I just want to hear from you. I heard something that was really concerning to me when we met with ZBA, and we haven't had a chance to meet with them since. But the commentary was that we would be essentially treating 40B developments as denials at ZBA now that we're in Safe Harbor, and I just wanted to just understand what your perspective on that is, so that I can understand where you're coming from. So now that we're in Safe Harbor, right, ZBA has a lot more authority to just say no to 40Bs. To
I
lips.
see. Okay. I've never heard the term safe harbor.
Yeah, so right, so the developers at this point have a little bit less autonomy, I guess. And ZBA has a lot more autonomy in terms of, denying applications for 40Bs and lip developments and whatnot.
Yep.
So I just wanted to hear what you thought about that.
I've never been part of that process where we've been able to say we didn't want to hear one, and at this point, I don't even know. My first question would be, do we hear the presentation, then decide if we have to hear it, or do we have to decide before we even get a presentation?
So in this,
I haven't watched any of the selectmen's meetings, to be honest with you, on these lips.
That's fair, yeah. So the basic process is they come to us, they come to the Affordable Housing Trust, they do some presentations. This has happened with a couple of different developments at this point. The select board has chosen for one of the developers that's come with a couple different developers to endorse those. They then go to a public hearing process through ZBA. You guys will get your own presentation. I think you'll likely to get somebody from the select board to come to just give you our perspective on things for you to understand. You might get other boards and committees weighing in on that in your public hearing process. But basically at that point, it's up to ZBA to take it from there and work with the developer or not.
So we do hear a presentation before we decide whether we want to hear the whole case through the end.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I definitely want to hear presentations and see the plans, because I've heard where they're going to be, but I haven't heard any of the presentations, so I don't know how I'll react.
Okay.
And as far as I know, it's only if something got put off, it'd only be for 2 years anyways.
Well, so that's one of my concerns, is that I think it's highly advantageous for us to stay in Safe Harbor with reasonable development, I guess. And I guess the way, ZBA is its own entity with its own authority, and it's out of our hands at this point. But in terms of appointing this position, I would like for ZBA to be considering developments on their own merits, and not have an opinion that they're just going to be denying developments out of the gate. I guess that was the concerning comment that I heard. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Oh, I hadn't heard that, so.
I'll reiterate that I have heard that, and I've heard existing ZBA members telling people that they're just gonna say no. And so that is a concern. If we're approving them to go to you guys, we wanna make sure that they're getting a fair shake and not just wasting everybody's time.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I at least want to hear the presentation.
Yeah.
It sounds like it wasn't you, so.
Oh, yeah, no.
Talking about other
Not that I know.
Not the person that's in front of us.
But,
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, I can take a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to appoint Peter Adams to the zoning board of appeals.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none by roll call.
Mead eye.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
Declare the motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
And we'll be posting for the alternate seat now. This is
One last question for the town administrator. Do I put in a letter of resignation for my alternate seat?
No, I don't believe you would.
Well, now that there's an opening, we'll definitely post it an opening.
Okay, so I don't have
No,
to.
you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Nope.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, up next is the Veteran Advisory Committee. Do we have Holly McCormick with us? Holly, no. Okay. So I think that'll do it for our appointments tonight, unless we can go through one last time if we have Nicole or Gary, Alex, any of them here? Okay.
No.
All right, so we'll reach out to a number of people tomorrow and see if they're still interested and let them know what's going on. Now we have town administrator appointments, none. We have an Eagle Scout presentation with Mr. John Renzoni. If you guys want to have a seat, you can do that as well.
No, I'm
whatever
gonna
you prefer.
stand up and I'll get something here to hold me up.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that over there and hope it stays there. All right. Good evening. My name is Andy Schellberg. I'm an Air Force combat veteran, Vietnam War, lifetime member of VFW Post 1497 in South Grafton. Since the mid-1990s, I've heard many complaints from family members of deceased veterans buried in Grafton cemeteries that did not get a flag on Memorial Day. I decided that I would try to do something to correct the problem. One of the major problems with placing American flags is the fact that volunteers that place flags are not veterans, and they would only place flags where they found an official veteran flag holder. In Grafton, we have veterans buried in 5 major cemeteries: Fairview, Riverside, Pine Grove, St. Philip, and Old Cemetery. And 2 smaller ones, satellite cemeteries, Old Farnhamsville and Grafton State Hospital Cemetery called Hillcrest. Grafton Veterans agents work from a badly out-of-date VA-provided computer file containing the names of veterans, their dates of birth, the name of the cemetery they're in, and where they were buried. So other information was kept in paper files. Now our current veterans agent, Justin Sousa, he uses my lists to buy flags for the town of Grafton. Probably in 2012 or 13, we were buying 17 gross of flags. At the time, we only had 900 veterans that we knew were buried. So that's about $700 or $800 you guys are spending for what? I don't know. Where these flags went, again, I don't know. We only had 900 veterans in cemeteries that we actually knew the cemetery, the section, the row, and placement within the row. Now, Grafton Cemetery Commissioners keep records on everybody buried in Grafton cemeteries, but nothing in St. Philip Cemetery. It's a private cemetery. But just as every other cemetery in Grafton, we have veterans buried there. Okay, all of these records are kept on paper. After coordinating with and getting permission from post commanders, veterans agents, and cemetery commissioners, and from the town of Grafton, at the time, Tim McInerney, I acted. In May of 2012, I approached the Scoutmaster of Grafton Boy Scout Troop 107, asked him if he knew of any boys needing an Eagle Scout project. He told me he had 3, and I interviewed the 3 boys and assigned the next day 3 Eagle Scout projects to these boys, 1 each at Pine Grove, Riverside, and St. Philip cemeteries. These 3 projects were completed and presented to the town in 2014. Veteran data for Fairview Cemetery was in a file updated and maintained by a non-veteran, Walter Lucia. When Mr. Lucia informed me that he would be moving out of town and no longer able to update his list of veterans, I knew then that I needed to assign a 4th Eagle Scout project. Okay, after I asked the Scoutmaster, I received the name, found a scout needing another Eagle project, and I interviewed him. On June 8th, 2015, I assigned to John Rizzoni an Eagle project, Fairview Cemetery. John's coach for this project was William Harris, Mr. William Harris, also a scout leader at Troop 107. As noted above, it's customary that an Eagle Scout project with the town of Grafton as its beneficiary, this project will be presented to the town shortly after it's completed. This is the fun part. In 2016, we had all kinds of problems trying to get to meet with you guys, trying to get my schedule to meet, trying to get John's schedule to meet, trying to get his family to meet and everything else. So that was bad enough. But it's been almost 6.5 years now since he finished his project. And I told him, I said, if I ever find you again, which I was successful this past year. Let's see. John completed his Eagle Scout project on March 3rd, 2016. That was almost 6.5 years ago. A lot has happened. John has received his Eagle rank already. He's finished college. He has a job. We've experienced a couple years of pandemic. And tonight we've experienced waiting for the rest of you guys to finish these appointments. I wish we could have done this before, but that's where they stuck us. So tonight, John is presenting his completed project to the town. At this time, he'll give you a brief description of his project and the steps he took to complete it. You got it, my friend. I'm gonna lean on this wall.
Andy, I'm glad you haven't changed.
Why is that? Oh, I could do this if I wanted to without this, but you guys would be here all night.
I'm the same way. So for my Eagle Scout project, when I was initially contacted about the project, I was to work in Fairview Cemetery, finding marked and unmarked veteran graves for the town of Grafton and the veterans who maintain the cemeteries in the town. The intention of this was to get an accurate database of veterans so families can locate them, so that veterans can accurately count the amount of veterans present in these cemeteries for military-based days of remembrance. After my initial proposal and contact with Mr. Schellberg, I included Old Farnhamsville Cemetery in my project as well. For the project itself, we developed a plan of attack where scouts went out with worksheets that contained all the information needed for the database I was inputting the data into. After each gravestone was found, documentation of the birth date, death date, branch of service for each gravesite was noted. It was also noted whether the grave had a flag holder so that veterans could accurately place holders on the graves as noted before. Scouts also recorded the GPS coordinates at this time as well. Once the data was collected and reviewed many times by me and my family, I inputted the data into the town cloud storage base to be shared with the community and others. The database was used by past and current Eagle Scouts to compile data from different cemeteries around the town of Grafton and was in use since 2014. The span of my project lasted from June 2015 until it was finalized and approved by Mr. Schellberg and the Boy Scouts of America in March of 2016. A total of 280 plus hours was spent on this project, with most of it being spent on double checking information about the veterans and inputting the data into the database. In the end, we documented over 300 veterans in the cemetery and inputted all that information into the database, which will assist both the families of these fallen veterans and veterans who honor what they've done. I'd like to give a special thanks to the town of Grafton for allowing me to do this project, Troop 107 for enabling me to complete this and gain my rank of Eagle Scout, my family for helping me through this whole project, Bill Harris for sponsoring me, and lastly Mr. Schellberg for bringing this project to me and assisting me through the whole thing. And at this time as well, I have a plaque, which Mr. Schellberg will get to.
I got a little blurb before you do that.
Yeah, I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah, it's okay. Another part of John's project was for him to provide a plaque to the town that the town will install at Fairview Cemetery. The plaque identifies the cemetery's layout by section name. This plaque can help anyone to find a gravesite at Fairview Cemetery. John, would you please present your plaque to the chairman of the board there, please?
Very nice. Thank you. Get a grant.
John has added the veteran data that he collected at Fairview Cemetery to the current master database, as he was required to do by my project. This database is a cloud resident Microsoft Excel file that now contains all veteran cemetery data from 4 of the 5 of the larger cemeteries in Grafton: Fairview, Pine Grove, Riverside, and the private cemetery St. Philip. An Eagle Scout project has just been completed at the last of the 5, Old Cemetery, which is across the street here. Some people call it Old Oak Burial Ground. Next month, this completed project will be presented to you. When the data from all 5 cemeteries has been entered into one file, I'll give the master database to the town as a read-only file, and I will provide updates to this file for as long as I'm able to do so. I would like to, when I turn it over, I'd like to have someone as an alternate for me. This is a read-only file. You guys can't change it. I don't want it. I will give it basically probably to the library, and they will maintain it and give it to anybody that wants to read it and look at it. One of the features of this thing is the GPS. And if someone needs to find a grave, I'm trying to produce a picture of all 5 of these cemeteries with a star at the location of the GPS, so someone can find a grave anywhere within a 10-foot circle. Most of this GPS, Mr. Harris was a sergeant in the United States Army. He was an artillery sergeant, and a lot of his work helping me locate these veterans with GPS is, when you say GPS, you're talking 3 satellites. When he's talking GPS, which gives you a 20-foot circle. When he's talking GPS, he's talking 5 to 7 satellites, and he's able to do it within 10 feet. So I think this will be nice. Someone asks where their veteran is, I'll give them a picture of the cemetery, I'll give them a picture of the section, the row, right down to the position with the GPS. And that's it. And I will give, John, would you give this and that to our Miss over here, Miss Rory? And if you guys have any questions afterwards, my name is on there, my phone number, my email address. And if anybody else has any questions that's listening to this presentation, please contact me. If you have a veteran that you want marked, let me know where he is. I'll put him in the file. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks so much.
Is that something we can give to the cemetery commission too, so that, you know, if it's just somewhere?
Oh, Mr. Canoyer's here, so when we get to him, maybe we can ask.
Oh, excellent. When are we getting to him? Okay, up next is the Grafton Arts Inc., the one-day music and entertainment license, and a few other requests.
Paperwork for you.
Where's my stuff?
We're gonna say this.
can count these as invitations to both events.
Oh, thanks.
All right.
But no.
They're not. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Please don't come.
We can share.
Yeah. I'm your plus one.
Do you want to talk? Or you want me? Okay. So, hi. As the paper says, I am Carolyn Kinlock-Winkler. This is Sue Cardosi. We are members of the Grafton Small Stones Festival of the Arts, which was started about 5 years ago. This organization provides the town with a rock and art show. This will happen in October this year, and it's an art show, music, literary presentations, many aspects of things, and it has grown over the years, and even with COVID we did pretty well. Last year, one of our members decided that he would try to do Gazebo Palooza as a fundraiser. And this happened in the little tiny road behind the town building, now known as John Jordan Boulevard. It was closed for one day, and it was a very successful event. We had restaurants from all over town who provided small servings of some of their best materials. We had drinks for the kids, drinks for the adults. We had a massage therapist. We had there were a couple other organizations that passed out information about themselves. We had I'm having a brain freeze. An auction, a silent auction of baskets that were presented by various organizations around town. And all in all, it was very successful, and we raised a lot of money for our organization, which worked out very well for the ongoing presentations that we hope to have this year. So what we need from you tonight is we need to have permission to close John Jordan Boulevard again on from 8 a.m. in the morning to 6:30 p.m. at night on September this year, 17th. We also need a one-day liquor license for September 17th through
just that one day.
Just for that
one day.
One day, and then a one-day music permit for the same day. So, I believe you have the information about the liquor license, and I picked up. I don't know whether you have it or not. If you don't, I got it. If you do, it's all right. This is about the insurance. The deal with the insurance is that we will. It's on a revolving basis. It will re-up in September 1st, I think, but I'm not going to say that because I don't know. Okay. And those, so we will be insured. Okay. And I have more extensive information about that if you need it. But rest assured that we will be doing that because we don't want to get sued either. So I don't know what we do or what we ask for or how we do this, but that's up to you. Well, you're doing a great job asking so far, and you provided all of the documentation. So we'll start by thank you for coming in. And does the board have any questions? Okay, so my only question was with the closing of Jordan Boulevard, if you had had a chance to talk to Chief Crapo, which I think somebody might have reached out today, but you probably didn't hear back because he's on vacation.
We did not reach out to him. I called the selectman's office this morning and asked whether or not we needed to interface with you, and I was told that no, we didn't need to do that. We just needed to speak to the police department. So that will be done, but there's no huge rush on this.
Yeah, and I don't think that would be an issue, but it's just good practice to maybe make sure everything's okay with him with this closure. So I'm okay with the closure of Jordan Boulevard contingent on Chief Crapo's blessing, which I'm sure won't be a problem.
How would we know, will you send us a letter saying that this is okay, or do we just Assume
Do you mind?
it's okay.
We can do that, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we will take care of that for you guys.
And the insurance is adequate? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know
Yep.
if it was a
The
question.
insurance is adequate?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the music?
Yep, all of that's gonna come, we'll probably, I guess we could do it all in one motion. Or just do the 2 licenses and then the closing of Jordan Boulevard contingent, if we can do those in 2 motions. And then you guys will be all set.
And
All
then
right.
you have the applications already.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, if there's no discussion, I am ready for a motion.
I move the board vote to approve a one-day music entertainment license for Grafton Arts Inc. on September 17th, 2022 at Jordan Boulevard.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor by roll call?
Mead eye.
Austin, aye.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
Once again, I would like to invite all of you, everybody in the room, to come
Hang on a
vote
second.
the-
You don't have everything yet.
Yeah. Hold on. So,
And
and motion
to- and
carried.
to Gazebo Palooza.
Excellent. Okay, up next is the 1-day alcohol license.
I'll move the board vote to
all right.
approve
I thought it was all under the same.
a one-day all alcohol license for Grafton Arts Inc. on September 17th, 2022 at Jordan Boulevard.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor by roll call?
Mead eye.
Austin, aye.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
Declare the motion carried.
Okay, I move the board vote to close Jordan Boulevard on September 17th, 2022 from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. contingent on the approval from the police chief.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor by roll call?
Mead eye.
Austin, aye.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
Declare the motion carried. Okay, congratulations. And I hope you have a successful event.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we pray for a good day.
Mm.
No rain.
It's canceled if there is.
Is
Well,
there a
we may
rain
do
date?
it inside the building, but it won't be.
We hope to do it inside, but
Okay.
we have to have good weather.
Perfect.
You will.
We are going to be passing over the common improvements change order. We'll be bringing that back in the future. And up next is the North Main Street intersection improvement with Mr. Paul Canoyer.
We can't call him chief anymore.
It's emeritus chief now.
Good evening.
Evening.
So North Main Street, Route 30, East Street intersection.
Is there anything you want to pull up to share?
Yep, we can pull that up, yeah.
We'll ask that. So several years ago, we set out to try and redo that. We'll come up with a plan for that intersection. You know, there were several different renditions, close East Street, make it one way. The biggest problem with that, the whole area is there's not a lot of space left to take. To, you know, make the roads wider, change the radiuses, the buildings are right up against the street. So really there's minimal size difference in the whole area of that. The biggest improvements will be coordination of the railroad signals, the crossing signals, along with the traffic lights. The goal would be to keep the north-south traffic flowing when the trains are crossing. Obviously, the limits of that are the right-hand turn coming north and the left-hand turn going south, queuing up, and how much traffic gets in those. The railroad has a $200,000 grant towards the improvements. The town is obviously on the hook for the balance of that. The project, the opinion of probable cost was, I don't remember off the top of my head what it was, but somewhere, say around $800,000 that would be on the hook for. So it's, you know, it's up to you guys if you want to, you know, if we want to move forward with the project.
So Paul is here tonight to talk to you about whether we are gonna proceed with doing the project and securing the funding, the additional $800,000.
Yes, because we have to come from Chapter 90 or other funding sources.
Like a capital plan.
So, or the capital plan. So it's all, you know, like I say, the costs are based on, you know, today's cost of products, whether they go down from here, who knows if they ever will go back down. So it's a lot of money for not a lot of change, because there's really not a whole lot that, you know, other than upgrading the signals, which, you know, is still gonna be, even if we just did that, it's still gonna be $500,000. So,
Is this feasible where if we can do, 400,000 one year, 400,000?
No, it's not. It's
just one,
It's got to
one
be
and done.
go or no go.
Okay.
The signals have to be changed, no matter what. The ones that are there now are definitely, well past their age limit. They can't coordinate with the new railroad crossing arms and everything else. So those really need to be done.
And if we're in there, what's an extra 300,000 to?
Yeah, and we, but the rest of the project really is changing the curbs, putting ADA compliant crosswalks and the ramps, the tactile strips, changing the roads a little bit so you get, instead of having like 2 or 3 cars that as you're going north on 140 can make a right hand turn, you could probably get 6 cars in there. So like say as the trains there, but most of the traffic could keep going north. But it's a lot of money for just some small geometric changes, but the big improvements will be the signals. There's a lot of development going to happen between the Pine Street, the Institute Village, the Prentice Place, 40B that's going in now. There's going to be, the population in that area is going to explode in the next 5 years, which is only going to exacerbate the traffic problem.
So the reason that we're looping or you're looping the board in is because you're going to be spending $800,000 on an intersection where you might get a lot more road improvements done for that same money. So we're looking for a direction from the board that yes, this is a priority project and that we should be spending that kind of money on an intersection as opposed to not doing the work and continuing with the status quo, which would get you more, you're going to pay more of Grafton with 800,000.
Well, it's too bad we can't loop it in with the North Main Street upgrade that company did the design on, or did the study on. From
The LRRP?
From that all the way up to Quinsigamon Corner. If we could loop it in with that'd be great. But I think just doing this, I know it's $800,000, but it's going to improve the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to improve the traffic. That was what we were tasked with, Brian and I several
And
years ago.
that's the big thing down there as it gets backed up down there, and and if we can, work with the railroad also.
Yep.
Get rid of the horns, that would be,
that's right.
that would be really nice,
Yeah.
and try to talk to them about how they move back and forth, but I think improving the traffic is, it's a lot of money, but it's gonna improve the traffic.
When it comes to identifying funding sources, you have Chapter 90. We did just do the last ARPA appropriations. What is that, 150,000 to EDC to get some of this LRRP stuff done? Do you think any of that, maybe even none of that, can go to this?
I wouldn't. Those are kind of, that was kind of to do some of these smaller projects.
Okay.
Neighborhood beautification, stuff like that. There is some money left in ARPA that the committee is looking at doing some mental health stuff. There's some other stuff. So there's some potential money there. You have your road stabilization.
Right, so the overarching conversation is, there's about 3.1 million in Chapter 90 money right now. But we're gonna eat through that pretty quick just with the projects that we have in the queue. The Fitzpatrick Road Bridge, for example, we got a grant from the state at $500,000, but that bridge is 1.2 million. So that other $800,000, whatever the cost comes in down the road, the town needs to fund that. The Millbury Street sidewalk program, I have a meeting on that tomorrow with MassDOT. We got the grant for $500,000 to go from Sean Michael Way to Oak Ridge to the school and a little bit of Crosby. But to meet the state standard now, you have to have sidewalk on both sides of the street. The grant covered the sidewalk on one side. It's like, who's gonna cover the sidewalk cost on the other side? Plus is also in that sidewalk program, there's $200,000 worth of, temporary easements, title searches, appraisals that have to be done based on the Main Street one being almost $800,000, and that's like 25% of the size. So that's where I got that $200,000 from. The Store Road culvert, which is scheduled to be done soon now that, Chapter 85 in MassDOT has approved the culvert. That's $700,000. That's going to be coming out of Chapter 90. So anyway, by the time we're all done with what we have already, online, we have $200,000 worth of non-participating costs of Main Street, trees, retaining walls, some other oddball things that the town's on the hook for as part of that project. So we're going to spend 2.7 million of that 3.1 in the next, 3 to 5 years. Granted, we still get an additional $600,000 every year on top of that, but the money that we had in reserves is going to be gone. The road stabilization, we had some money left over just because we had done some work with National Grid on Route 30 and really subsidized that road plan, but we used a lot of the balance of that money, the surplus, on the sidewalk on Milford Road. So in part of the DPW building. So I was gonna say so there's not a lot of road stabilization money left to fund things either. So we're running up against, they're all great projects, but they all cost money, and it's, eventually, we have the money to spend. It's just and then the elephant in the room is that whole George Hill at $5 million.
Right.
That's,
I told you not to talk about that.
Yeah. All right. I have a quick question, and then Andy will get to you. Okay. In your opinion, based off having the roads that we've been, the improvement plan that we've been doing for several years, do you think we're in a good enough place where we can take an $800,000 whack?
I think we have to do something. The signals have to be changed. No matter what, we have to spend some money over there, whether it's, 500 or 800. Mm-hmm. We need to the signals need to be done.
So you think that the signals, they A, have to be done, and B, they're somewhere in the 500,000?
They just for the equipment alone they said 250, and that was January costs, and everything has continued to escalate from January to now. So we Brian and I err on the side of caution and went to 3. So that's just for the equipment.
Just the equipment, yeah. Okay.
In the install of
not the engineering
of everything else, and then and part of that is I'm sure going to be ripping up portions of the road to connect everything together. The warning strips and when you pull up at the pad and all that stuff.
Can I just have Andy real quick? Go ahead, Andy.
That was pretty much what I wanted confirmation on as well. It sounded like, this was the railroad signals were a safety issue and something that must be addressed as opposed to more of a wish list item. But it does sound like that's the case. Because I think that's an important point of clarity. If we're basically committed to spending that, roughly 500,000 right off the bat, then really the conversation is about spending 3 as opposed to spending the full 8.
Yeah. All right. So Anne-Marie and then Evan.
Yeah, a couple of things. So, sorry, it's safety or it's traffic with the signals?
It's all.
Okay.
And again, the other part of, the road signals, the, red, yellow, green lights, plus the railroad crossings. But there's, nobody can think tonight. Whatever the word is for the crosswalks that have no crossing signals. People stand there, push a button, they don't work. So all those, are part of this plan as well.
So out of that the 200,000 that you mentioned through the railroad, would that come out of so say you're saying the signals are 500?
Well, we've used some of that for the design work to get to this point.
And what do we have left?
There's probably around 100,000, let's say, to get.
So we would subtract that off of the top of this?
Give or take, so yeah.
Yeah.
We're probably with escalating costs, not really.
Yeah, I think everything
that's the problem.
Asphalt, we get every month we get a note saying, by the way, your asphalt, is X more dollars a ton. Right.
So. And then that was my question, just in looking this at home. We didn't go through it here very much, but we're going to, outside of the signals, just gain a few slots there if you're going north on 140.
Yeah, so it's new curbing, crosswalks, the ADA compliant crosswalks, and everything else. And
in terms of like the traffic, if that's
concrete sidewalks, right?
Yeah, yeah. And is the traffic issue worse? I don't live over there during is it during railroad crossing? I know that during rush hour it backs up, but additionally during railroad crossings, obviously. But are there other times where it's not working?
The times of the railroad crossings are you just don't know when they're going to be.
Yeah.
Because like I say, they're across Route 30, East Street, and the traffic, 2 or 3 cars get in line, and nobody can move until it happens. The idea is to hopefully alleviate some of that, but it can happen any time of day. So.
Do Evan and then Andy.
So I'll weigh in my opinion. You need to just do the whole thing, because you're gonna piecemeal it and you'll be sorry that you did. So if you're gonna cause all of that, not destruction. See, now you're rubbing off on me.
Sorry, I have that.
And Ray, if you're gonna cause all that disturbance in the area, you might as well just do it once. Fix the intersection to the best of the ability that you're going to be able to with the width restrictions that you have there. Do the crosswalks, do the crossings, get whatever you can gain, do the whole thing in one shot and be done. And Paul and I can work together to figure out the back end of the funding and what gets slowed down a little bit because we're spending more money on one intersection than another road that's less traveled. If you go through that, which we do every Tuesday night going to Chipotle, it adds like 10 minutes to our trip, and we can't have that. No, I'm just kidding. But no, the
probably
traffic
eat in town.
What's that?
You should probably eat in town.
Bingo.
Listen, when you get me a Chipotle, and we'll be doing that. Tuesday night is Chipotle night.
Pepperoni Express.
We do that other nights. I was at Bushel and Peck on Monday. I frequent the area.
Okay.
Where's
Anyways.
John Allen? Get him in.
Yeah,
I think
great.
we agreed that you are primarily responsible for economic development.
Trust me. Will and I, Bushel and Peck, once a week.
Get on that.
We did it yesterday.
We just
But
did
we're
it
saying
yesterday. Yeah.
Find us a Chipotle, make it happen.
Listen, first of all, they're franchised. They're not franchised. I looked into it already.
Okay.
Do you think I'd be doing this if I could own a Chipotle? No. So anyways,
Wouldn't make any profits.
but you really, I see that this is going to be a priority because you've got increasing population in that area. It's a main artery. It's already got traffic woes. I think now is the time to just do it and don't spend $500,000 when you could spend $300,000 and do the whole thing.
Is there anything else we can get from the railroad company to
So
assist?
we got that grant out of them. I think that, Paul and I, we've talked about complete streets. We've talked about other grant opportunities. We can go to the legislature and we will do all of those things to try to make Grafton pay as little as possible. But I think that in my opinion, the issue is still the same. You got to do it regardless. And so whether we get more money from other sources and then we're able to continue more of our asphalt management plan without any kind of delay, great. And if we can't, I think you still need to do it.
Andy?
Yep, a couple questions. First, Mr. Canoyer, did I see in the plans that we'd also be getting a more dedicated left turn lane? I'm sorry, I'm terrible with the north-south direction on that road on
South
North
is
Main
into
Street
Grafton.
there.
Yeah, heading south.
Yeah.
So heading south, the left turn lane. There's be some, lane readjustments.
Yep.
So there'd be a left turn lane that would stack probably six to 8 cars coming south on 140 to make the left onto East Street or Route 30.
Awesome. The other one pertained to the project itself, both in how long we think the duration would be and when we expect the timing would start. I don't know if it's too early to predict those things. Just a little bit of concern with some of the development going on Institute right now, and it talks about bringing the water mains and whatnot down past Tufts in that area, that we're really gonna bottleneck those 3 roads that are really the only outlets there.
So the plan would be, our goal would be to get it bid in the fall, start in the spring. And I'll just go back. There was a, sewer project on Route 30. National Grid built that substation and ran underground conduit. It's going to be a mess for another 3 or 4 years between the Village and Institute, Pine Street, between the water lines and all the other work associated with it. So we'll just, we can coordinate things and people learn to detour pretty quick around those other projects. So it's going to be painful, but part of growing.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, I just think as we think through the traffic improvements, I'm in that area a lot, and trying to go north and take that right, and it really is the cars stack up quickly and just block all of the movement in that whole area basically whenever the trains are coming back and forth, which is pretty often. So I think having traffic improvements in both directions, and I come the other direction into Grafton too, which also gets clogged up. So I see a lot of benefit there. I don't think we should have to do this. I think this is part of the larger initiative to sort of bring some investment into that part of town, according to the LLRP. So this aligns with that. We're continuing to make a lot of investments in terms of accessibility and ADA compliance. So I think, the part of that LRP plan is to put sidewalks in and make it a little bit more walkable and commutable and bikes and all that. So this is a pretty key part of that section of town too. So I think it's kind of, to me, a bit of a no-brainer to just move forward with the whole thing and get it all done.
Okay. Any more questions or comments from the board? Or do you need a motion from us, or was that?
No, it's just,
direction?
just direction, how you want us to go. So we'll continue to move forward with it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can get any federal money from the infrastructure program, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll go after anything we can get.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right.
Good. While Mr. Benoyer's here, does anybody have any questions on the item K, Chapter 90 reimbursement request? It's pretty boilerplate standard.
I do not.
It's the leftover money from the design of the Fitzpatrick Road. It's reimbursement for that.
Right.
Design of
I
Fitzpatrick
just,
Road. So.
while Mr. Knoyer's here, ask the questions. Otherwise, we can allow him to head on.
Would you like the read-only document for the vet cemetery locations? Can we put you in charge of that?
No, you don't want me in charge of that.
Fair enough.
Daryl would, I mean, Daryl's the guy. He's our cemetery guy, and he's very.
I think what Colleen means is through you, as the department head, to cemetery department.
Yeah. Then, yeah.
No one's gonna give you a computer file.
Yeah, he's gonna help me with it.
Oh, then yeah, absolutely. I will. All right, thank you so much.
We would for sure, and just get me the sign when you can, and we'll find a place to put it and
excellent
get it hung up. And
You want to take it now, Paul?
if you want me to, I can.
Yeah.
Stay there, Ray.
That's okay. I can walk.
Stage.
I can't think. I can walk.
Thanks.
Yeah,
All right,
I know.
have a good night.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much.
Okay, up next is the One Grafton Common update. Mr. Mead has been working on a valuation for the building, and he wants to just give us a little update on what he's been doing and what he might need to go forward with that.
Yeah, I just need, so we're doing a valuation of the building so that we can make a determination of what we're gonna do with the building. And I need to meet with, Sean and Apple Tree Arts, and I just want the board to authorize me to do that. That's all.
Do you want to give us an update on what you've done so far at all, or?
So we have all of the tenant space sizes. We have the tenants, rents. And, you start from there. And then, like I said, I have to talk to Sean and I have to talk to Apple Tree Arts about some of the things in Apple Tree Arts lease and some of the things that Sean, because Sean's the manager of the building. It's a lot easier just to sit down with him and talk with him about it, so.
Can Evan be looped into those conversations as well when you're doing that? Have him be
Can if he
involved in
wants.
them?
Yeah, sure.
I just think it would be helpful
Yeah,
in case something happens.
you know, so the goal is just to do our due diligence as to the value, the actual current value of the building.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I agree.
Does the board have any questions?
I just was going to say I agree having Evan there because I believe most of the numbers that you're looking for are probably in your office. So.
Yeah, and I communicate with John quite frequently and all the rest of it. So I'd be happy to partner with Ray on that.
Awesome. All right, Andy, do you have any questions on that? Great. Okay. Do we need a motion for that to authorize you two to work
Just
together to
authorize
do
me
that?
to, yeah.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right, so I'll take a motion to authorize Ray Mead and Evan Broussard to work together on the valuation of One Grafton Common.
So moved.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none by roll call, Ray?
Mead eye.
Off tonight.
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, I.
Declare the motion carried. All right, up next is we're going to cancel the special town meeting. We secured the extension we were looking for. Do you want to give any other?
Yep, so
additional
over the past couple of weeks, we were able to secure an extension beyond the 120-day requirement of Chapter 61 A, and we were also able to execute the purchase and sale based upon the $300,000 price and all the rest of it. And the seller agreed to wait till closing would be October 25th, so we would have our meeting, and that gives us enough time to align up our funding and all the rest of it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out well. Very happy with the seller, seller's agent, and our counsel were able to really hammer out some fine details pretty quick. So that was nice.
Fantastic.
Great. And thank you, Sue Fiacco, and all the staff that put in the time to not have this meeting.
Yes, because we had to plan like it was going to happen, and hope that it wouldn't. But because of the timelines of Grafton, we needed to keep moving forward.
Yep. All right, so take a motion to close the warrant and cancel, or just cancel?
I would say just cancel the town meeting. Should cover all of it.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and
Second.
seconded. Okay. Oh, so close, Andy. All those by
If you
roll
weren't on
call,
delay,
right?
you'd
Yeah.
be
Latency.
Right?
Mead eye.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
All right, declare the motion carried. Moving on to some policy updates. William, would you like to take that?
Sure. Alright, so the first policy that we looked at this week was the Government and Education Channel Coverage Request Policy, which details getting GCTV into meetings and events for coverage and then rebroadcast on public access. This policy had not been reviewed since 2007, so it was pretty out of date. It only listed 2 of the channels. All of the contacts were out of date, and they listed the studio manager before Bob DeToma, which I didn't know was a thing. I figured we bought a video camera and Bob DeToma just sort of showed up and ran it from day one. Beyond that, we put it in the normal format that we've been doing, and we tried to make it a little bit easier on the eyes, bullet points so it's easier to read and so it flows better. I will say this policy is currently with Bob DeToma for review, just to make sure that it's all copacetic on his end, as it does impact him as well.
Okay. So let's hold off on voting on this one until we hear from Bob, just to make sure.
To make a comment on it, I would just suggest not to include their names and just their titles with Evan, Bob, and Jay, so that in the future, when those positions change, it can just be town administrator.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do that in the meantime.
That makes sense. Any other notes at this time? When did Mr. DeToma receive a copy of this?
Earlier this morning.
Great. So maybe we'll bring it back next week.
Yep, Bob's pretty good about getting back to me with emails, so I anticipate getting feedback in the next day or two.
Awesome. All right, so we'll put a pin in this for now, but great work, as always. And then there's another policy.
Yep.
My favorite sentence.
This is my nightmare.
There you go. It's up now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, boss. I'd be a loss without you.
I know.
So this is the rent relief for municipal space. We went back and forth on this policy about whether or not we were going to rewrite it, but we do currently still have municipal space that people and organizations are renting. So this was just a rewrite. We went through, put it in our format, cleaned it up a little bit, and here it is.
So let's say one Grafton Common, for example. How would that apply here? Could a tenant apply for? No.
Nope, because they're leasing from One Grafton Common LLC, not from us.
Okay.
This is more for, like, we have space at South Grafton Community House that the Nitmucks utilize and things like that. That's really the intent of this.
Okay. And how do we advertise this? So if people, after the last couple of years we've had, if they wanted to take advantage of this,
I don't know that we have a need to advertise it that much because of we kind of do this already, to be honest with you.
Okay, great.
To a certain extent, right? So when, like, we just had, we have people that are kayaking the Blackstone, so they're going to be camping at, like, Mill Villages Park, and so normally it'd be $100, but they're people kayaking to raise awareness of the Blackstone. So in my office, we just waive the fee, or we work with people all the time to try to make that work. So we know it's available. It's so infrequent, but we figure it out.
Perfect.
Is that reasonable?
Oh,
to say?
totally. Yep. Yep. All right. Does the board have any other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, we can take a motion to update this policy.
I move the board vote to approve and sign the rent relief for municipal space policy as presented.
Second. Motion made and seconded. All those by roll call.
Mead eye.
Often
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, aye.
All right, declare the motion carried. And up next is the animal control officer warrant, which we kind of do every year.
Yeah, and this is just to authorize the chair to sign the warrants.
Okay.
I move the board vote to authorize the chair to sign the animal control officer warrants for Melinda McKendrick and Keith Elms.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none by roll call.
Mead eye.
Often aye.
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, aye.
Okay, declare the motion carried. And now we have the warrant for the 2022 state primary, which again is kind of a boilerplate document. We just need to sign if anybody has any questions. Nope. Okay, anyone playing at home, the town clerk can help you with that too. I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to sign all copies of the warrant for the 2022 state primary.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor by roll call.
Mead eye.
Often aye.
Roy, aye.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, aye.
Okay, declare the motion carried. And now the last thing is to schedule and ask me anything. This was one of our goals in our goals meeting to do that, and just really wanted to have a discussion with the board about just kind of the logistics of it. Where having a whole board ask me anything seems like it would be a logistical nightmare, honestly, with record keeping, taking notes, and things like that. Maybe picking 2 board members and the town administrator would be a lot easier, and then picking a date and location to schedule one of that. So I wanted to see what everybody thought about that. If you had any volunteers, I'd be
Is
willing
this
to
an
do
ask
that.
me anything for public or
Public.
employees?
Yeah, public.
So
Yes.
why wouldn't we have the whole board?
Are you gonna capture every question in minute form? That's the problem. Is accurately accounting for the. I mean, if you do that, you'd do it in here, so we could record it and actually write minutes for that thing. Most communities do it 1 or 2 members and the TA, and they rotate the members and do it in different locations. Is generally what happens. So one time you'll do it at. You could do it at the gazebo, you could do it at the library, you can do it at South Grafton Community House, you can do it at a private location, not private like somebody's house, but private like Community Harvest Project or, something like that. That's generally how it goes because the record keeping for a meeting where you might have 20 different people talking about 20 different things gets to be quite cumbersome. That's really the.
So it's several hours of recording meeting minutes. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
And who's doing that?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about. That's why we want to do it.
Not you.
Not like that. So generally what happens is you get 2 board members, the TA, and then, someone that just take notes because you're going to get questions that you're going to have to give feedback on or issues that need to be looked into or whatever it is. And we do that.
Similar to when we meet with the seniors at the senior center. Most recently, Matt and I went down there with Evan and William and a few other people and answered their questions, and it was great. So now this just kind of opens it up to all the residents of Grafton. Hopefully, if they want to come down, and maybe we do it twice a year or even quarterly if everybody's chomping at the bit to do it, which you clearly are. So.
And then you do.
Damn.
And then
I'd be interested in doing it.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
it does. It winds up being pretty cool. And the other thing that I've seen a lot of communities do is they'll get 1 or 2 other department heads, right? So maybe one has you do it at the fire station with the fire chief, and then you do one, at the police department with the police chief or sewer station with Chief Canoyer. Any of that, but you draw different people out because they have different issues or different things they want to talk about. The highway garage with Paul and Kevin, and do it.
I'll do that one.
Yeah, that one would be fun too. I'm sure I'll do them all. But no, I see a lot of value in it, and it gives people a chance to talk with board members or the TA or a department head outside of a formal setting, and I think you get better feedback that way.
I actually like the idea of just a couple board members, one or two, because it does make it less formal, and you're not it's not like this.
Right.
People get intimidated, as we could see tonight, sitting before an entire board, even if it's just for Q&A.
Right.
So I think it's a good format, and it's more work for you, but less work for us, because
That's
we could
really
do
your
a few
MO,
more of
isn't
them.
it? No, the format's great. I've seen a lot of communities doing it really successfully, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm happy to do it at some point as well, anytime.
Okay. So we all, Andy, do you have any input on that before I keep chugging along here?
No, I feel like I am ultra supportive of the idea. I'm wondering, if we're keeping it to only a couple people and we're not keeping minutes and it's not going to be something that's publicly shared, then you start to get people possibly alleging some sort of collusion or, what have you. And, I agree with what Matt said about it seeming, a little more informal and a little less intimidating with two members or whatever it's going to be. I don't know. I guess I'd like to hear some other people's feedback as to how maybe we would address that situation if it were to arise.
I thought you guys said you would be taking.
Well, we take, so what happens is, we take notes because we have to, you're going to have people that we're going to need to follow up with. There will be people that ask questions that you could never have imagined, so you have to figure that out and get back to them. There are people that we're going to have to put in communication with different departments, things like that. So we'll take notes on that.
But are they publicly published as, similar to how minutes or meeting packets would be?
No, I've never seen another town do it that way.
We could record them, though, right?
So this happened in 2019,
I think
a few of them.
So the whole idea is you don't have a camera pointed at people. You don't have, you're not taking really detailed minutes of this transaction because you're trying to draw people to come out and just talk to you as people do without this intimidation factor of coming into, like you were talking about, this U-shaped, tribunal to try to voice their concerns. I've seen communities that get negative feedback. In fact, I was just looking at one this morning, and mostly it seemed that it was people that already had an axe to grind that were upset about the location rather than the fact that, it was just going to be two members of the board. The idea is you're trying to get people, and they're all public meetings, right? They're all open meetings. They're not, there's nothing secretive. There's just, to take detailed minutes like we take in this meeting, you'd need to do it in this room, to be honest with you, so we can get everything. The audio's good, all of that stuff. But I think that defeats the purpose. The purpose is really just let's informally come out and talk to Andy in the park with Evan and Matt, and I have concern about sidewalks in my neighborhood and how can we address that, and I don't have to do that in any public forum where I don't want to do that. I just want to access my government in a different way.
Back in 2019, the town administrator did 3 of them. In the first one, it was the town administrator, the assistant town administrator, 1 board member, state rep, and only 1 person showed up.
Yep.
Me. And I got to ask unlimited questions with a captive audience, and it was awesome.
Can you imagine that?
No, I know. I couldn't. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh my God. I'd be
Anxiety
jumping
just
off
went
the
right
podium.
through the roof.
I know.
Like, is there another calling out there that's gonna pop up?
It is possible. But that's just it. It's that you put in all this work to make this available, and then maybe nobody even shows up, which is unfortunate. But it's a super opportunity that I like that we revive and bring back.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so let's just agree 1 or 2 board members. We'll start there. Straw poll that. Where do you guys feel? Right?
I'd say 2.
2.
2. Okay, so we all like 2. Andy, 2. Great. Now let's think of a date, since this kind of impacts you as well, and your schedule is would you prefer maybe like an off board week since you're here till 7 anyway, like a Tuesday night? Would that work well
That would
with
be
you?
perfect for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sooner the better, like August, or are you thinking September?
Andy's got his hand up.
Andy.
Just for Evan's sake, if we're talking about like representation in that way with William being the ATA, would it be possible that we include maybe both of them, or Evan isn't always necessary, that maybe Evan takes some and William takes the others, or split the
Andy, I
work?
think we'll both go, because I'm really into this. So I don't need the.
Okay.
I really appreciate that thought. Truly, I do. And maybe you could get me out of some other stuff, but I will go to all of these that I'm able to.
I was going to say, if you weren't there, we could talk about you.
That's why I'm going to go. Right? You can't allow that to happen.
Yes.
No, but
Well, anyway.
you
Don't
sure
worry.
will. You sure will. But no, I would say, pick a Tuesday where we don't have a meeting.
So August 31st.
Yep, August 30.
30.
That's a Wednesday.
It's a 30.
30th, August 30th. Okay.
I might not. I think I have a thing. Because I think it's
So anytime except that. Okay.
No, I think
Really
I scheduled it because it's the only off meeting I can actually do
Sure,
something.
sure. What, where are we in September? Because I don't know if my calendar went out that far, or, so probably the 27th, maybe? I would imagine we're off that
What-
day.
Yeah, why don't we just?
Yeah.
Why don't
Or
we
it
just?
could be a different night.
Why don't you just pick the members and then we'll pick the date with the two people that are going to do it and,
Cool.
and are available. Does that work?
Yeah, but I just would like to, for people.
Oh, I know.
I'm excited. All right.
We will advertise the heck out of it,
Okay.
both here and out there.
Great. I would like to volunteer to do this if anybody else is interested to do this.
I will volunteer.
Awesome.
And I know Emery said.
So we could, go back and forth.
I think we'll start in September and then we'll make them quarterly thereafter.
Yeah, sounds good.
That look good for everybody?
Okay.
So first one, Colleen and Ray.
Yep.
All right. Location?
Well, I think that depends on the date and availability of locations.
Sure.
Okay. South Grafton Meeting House worked out
TBD.
really well that was the one I went to when
When you were by
captive.
yourself?
Oh, it was awesome. It was a pretty good night.
I know it was because you've told me about it several times.
Yep. So, anyway, that's good, right? Okay, so we can go on to select board reports. Does anybody have anything?
Open Space and Rec has met. I don't have the date in front of me, but within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we reorganized, first of all. And secondly, we spoke again about the potential for a Trails Committee that we're going to bring before the Select Board at some point. And one of the members is just working on drafting the charge for that. So that should be forthcoming. We're meeting again, I believe, next Wednesday. So we might have that by next Wednesday. Currently, we just meet once a month. And the other thing that was, that we've been talking about was kind of a land acquisition committee. We don't really have a name for it or anything. I think I've spoken about this here before potentially, but, looking at land in a more global sense in the town from a parks, open space, recreation viewpoint, and potentially looking at, parcels that we might want to look at for acquisition and or parcels that we already own, for example, in neighborhoods that really haven't been either, I don't know if it's that they get given to the town or how that works, but we do know of some parcels in neighborhoods that are kind of sitting out there that potentially we could look at for either trails, parks, or what have you. So just kind of more of a global looking at land from that open space recreation viewpoint. That won't be a committee per se. That probably will be the ongoing work of this committee. So we've already delegated all of the items from kind of that master plan to all of the committees that will be involved in those. And then the Trails Committee will be a standalone committee as in so far as that we can see it right now. And then this kind of overlying land acquisition plan will be something that our committee will kind of do going forward. So I guess that's where we are right now. We have a new member who will be joining us at the next meeting, and our minutes are up to date on the website. I'm happy to to announce. And if there's any questions, we meet the third Wednesday of every month at 7 via Zoom, always at this point.
Nice.
So join in.
All right, thank you. Any other updates?
Kevin and I met with the Snow Road developer. Had a good meeting. And haven't heard from him since.
Okay.
So,
What was the nature of the conversation like? Just overview?
so the
Any
building
next
height,
steps?
the building height, the density, the location of the project in conjunction with, 140 and Snow Road and the potential DOT, DOT will control that. But the location of the buildings, again, the height, density, it was a good conversation.
Did you get the sense that they were gonna take that feedback and come back, or are they taking that feedback and going somewhere else? If you were,
They told us at the meeting that they're taking the feedback and coming back.
Okay,
back,
okay.
yes, they're coming back, yeah.
Alright.
I'm not sure what they're gonna come back with.
but that's good to know that it's
But-
still on the radar and they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's just, I mean, the basis of it was way too many units, way too high. And I actually went through the elevations of the buildings and what it's gonna look like over Stop and Shop. And that was seemed like kind of a surprise to them, so. It'll work out.
Nice, nice work.
Good.
All right, so I guess the only other thing I was gonna update the board on is we, a few agendas ago, had some election workers on there, and then Candy updated us on the Votes Act. And it kind of becomes the town clerk's appointment when you're 3 weeks out from an election. So next week it's gonna be becoming her appointment. But I am in talks with her. She's getting a little more feedback and clarity to make sure that that is accurate. And depending on how that goes, they might be on the agenda next week, or it'll be just appointed by the town clerk. So in case anybody was wondering about that.
I was, yeah. That's great.
Andy, do you have any other reports? No, I'm just picking on you because I can see you.
Nope.
Okay. Town administrator report.
All right, so I'm not doing a town administrator report.
Assistant town administrator.
I'm gonna yield my time to William, who's gonna show you the mock-up of the new website.
Oh, great.
Oh, fun.
Nice.
I wasn't gonna tell him. I was just gonna bam, put it on the screen.
Sorry. Alan's
Yeah,
close.
I knew Alan was gonna be real excited for this one. All right, so I had the meeting with Civic Plus today. What you're gonna see is
This is Google.
Yeah, we're getting there. You know what? Ruining all my fun. So, this is the shell of the website, made to look pretty, so none of our minutes, agendas, things like that are on there. The department pages haven't been loaded, the search function doesn't work, but this is the general overview of what we're going to have, and I have some notes from the meeting, so we're going to start from the top and go down, and then at the end you can ask any questions you may have. Is that okay?
Love it.
Sounds good.
Fantastic.
Where's that?
On my screen. Share it to that screen. So.
That's not Grafton, in case you're wondering.
Oh, it isn't? I was trying to figure out because I'm like, where is that?
No.
That you yielded your time.
Just so I could heckle you.
Okay.
Can we do a contest to submit artwork for this?
Yes. In all honesty, yes. Anybody can submit any photos they want on the website, but we'll get to the uses for that.
Oh, so questions at the end. Okay.
All right, so from the top, pretty much the 5 buttons we have at the top of the homepage right now are still going to be there. Government, services, information for residents, business, how do I, things like that. These, they call them the globals. Those will be on every page. Everything on the website is going to be live text, so it's searchable, and a screen reader will pick it up, which makes it ADA compliant. This graphic that you see right here is in, they call it a bucket on the back end. So they currently have it set up so every time you refresh the page, you get a new photo.
Ooh.
We can change that. We can make it a slideshow where you put 10 photos in there and it just rotates, or we can make it a static image. Personally, I like the refresh. I think it makes it look clean. Next, we have our high-level menu items. Those will also follow users to any page that they're on. So we have agendas and minutes, reporting a concern, subscribing to town news, online permitting, employment opportunities, and code red. From everything we had on our website and everything they have seen from other towns' websites, those are sort of the most commonly asked for items. And the buttons change when you hover over them, which I think is kind of nifty. The news and update section of the website is going to change. Right now there are 3 tiles on the homepage. We'll now be able to have this little carousel. We can put as many up there as we want. We're going to try to keep it to a manageable number. When the site is all up and running, Civic Plus is going to do a series of trainings with all of the employees. So we're going to kind of set the standards so the front page of the website doesn't become intensely cluttered. The interesting thing about these tiles is there's multiple touch points to get to the article, so if you touch the image, the title, or the read-on, you get to where it's going to direct you to go.
Oh, great.
We have a fancy...
This is nice.
Yeah.
We have a fancy new calendar, so it's tabbed. Right at the moment, they've got public meetings and public events up there. We can bring it down to 1, we can add tabs, we can do whatever we want with the calendar. I think that this is going to be fantastic. It's very easy to use. I find it very appealing. Then down at the bottom, we have on the left here, space for more news and announcements for things that don't necessarily lend themselves to pictures. So like we put something up today saying that the Treasurer Collector's office is going to close at 3:30. That's sort of a short announcement. You don't really need a photo. This would be the perfect place for them. And then on the right, they have the Financial Transparency Center, but we can take that big button and make it go wherever we want. The nice thing about the homepage is it's all based on widgets, so we can move things around. If we wanted 2 big buttons down here at the bottom, we could get rid of these bars and have 2 big buttons. We could get rid of the big button and have more short news and announcements. I like the term big button, in case you can't tell.
I'm really enjoying myself.
So there's a lot of flexibility with the new homepage. We're going to be able to make it look good, keep it looking good, and really do whatever we want with it. Down at the bottom is going to be all of the useful information, quick links, contact information, and things like that. Department pages in general are going to look a little something like this. They're still going to have the left-hand column full of information. I keep pointing at my screen, thinking that everybody can see it.
It's really not helpful.
It's not. So they'll be able to add anything they want there, quick links, things like that. Department pages will also have this Contact Us area, where we can list staff, hours of operation, physical address, email address, all the stuff that we normally have. For a department or a committee that doesn't need that, you can take it away, and you can have all of that space for content. And similar to the homepage, this is all based on widgets on the back end, so you can put up images, you can put up a calendar. The departments and the committees will have some flexibility in how they present the information relevant to them. I want to make sure I catch it all before we get to questions. One thing that came up at IT committee that we did talk about was the responsiveness of the website from, say, a computer to a phone or a tablet. So, using this fancy plugin, we're going to simulate what it looks like on a phone, and it's automatically going to stack. So that way, as you scroll, you still get all of the information, so it doesn't just take the website and put it on a phone. It sort of switches it around so that way it is user-friendly on a phone. And it'll just go from top to bottom. All of the information, you'll be able to scroll, see everything, still very visually appealing. Froze. No, try that again. And then it'll do the same thing on a tablet. You know, a bigger screen, it'll adjust accordingly. So that is the website in a nutshell at the moment. We have until the 19th to give them feedback on anything we may want to see changed, anything that we don't like, anything that we want to tweak. And then after the 19th, they will start taking all of the content they've been migrating over for the past month and making it live on the site. So that's when minutes and agendas, documents, department pages, all that stuff will be up there.
Ready for questions?
I am.
All right. Does the board have any questions or comments?
I have a question on the calendar. So,
Yeah.
when you like hover over the date, will something pop up there as well? That's what I don't like about our current one, I think. So, like over on the calendar, though, is there a way to make it so that the link is right there, under the date?
Yeah, so we'll be able to put it all in these tiles.
It'll be over there, okay.
Yep, so you see it sort of, it's the same, Tuesday, August 9th, Tuesday, August 9th. We'll be able to put any descriptive text that we want in there.
I was just
Link to
wondering,
minutes and agendas.
like on the little circle on the 9th, it wouldn't just...
Like a hover over?
Yeah, that.
It doesn't look like that's currently enabled. I can ask if they can do that, though.
I think it'll look different too when you have more than one thing on one day,
Mhm.
right? Like our calendar right now is pretty busy, so it'll
Right.
Fill out there.
So when you say, including, say, minutes, on past meeting days, like it's the end of the month and you're looking back in August, on this calendar, you'll be able to click that date, you'll see that they met, and the minutes will have gotten added to the calendar as well?
So all minutes and agendas will be added to the document center that we're going to have. And if you give me one moment.
This is like activity, like, farmers
Yeah,
market.
this is upcoming things. If you give me one moment, I can pull
That'll
up an
be the
example
events tab, yeah.
of the document center. It's not live on our end, but I can pull up another site that has it if you would like to see it.
Sure. I think I did see it. It's the, what's the name of that town? Texas or something? You told me to go look it up and I did.
Orange, Texas?
That had the similar calendar?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because they had like links to the meeting with like video and stuff and some.
Correct.
I started
So
watching about
all of
feral
that
cats
will be
problems they had.
all of that will be in our document center as well.
Okay.
The videos too?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Because that was something that someone brought up to
All,
me as well.
yeah, all in one spot. So when
Yeah.
you go to that meeting, it's got your agenda, your minutes, your packet, your video.
Yep, it'll be just one straight line right across.
Fantastic.
Next question. We spent a lot of time on ClearGov. Is there going to be a ClearGov, like maybe that big button at the bottom that'll take you to ClearGov?
You have a
or
big button, Will?
We do have a big button.
Can that be the ClearGov button?
Yeah, right here. Financial Transparency Center.
Was that a plant question?
No.
But so yes.
It doesn't work right now, but yes, that's what that'll do.
That'll be the ClearGov
Yeah.
big button.
Yeah, and I think we'll have a different graphic there, obviously.
Yeah, so they were obviously this is again just to show what it is going to look like. The final product will have different graphics. It'll be more robust. All the links will work. Everything that we expect to be there will be there.
I'm really excited.
Are we going to have delegation of department pages to certain departments?
Yes, and clear. Now I got nothing but ClearGov. Sorry. The cycle continues. Civic Plus is going to do 2 trainings on the new website for all employees who want to do it, and then after that, I think that we do continued education, maybe once a quarter, once every 6 months or so, for people who forget, or we hire new people who have access to the website, so that way everybody knows what they're doing.
Got it. So, like, the Affordable Housing Trust could kind of manage their own content if they wanted to?
Yep.
With their admin, yeah.
Well, we had talked about Affordable Housing Trust because they had wanted kind of there's been some discussion of their own page.
Yep. So
Sorry, go ahead.
we are
No, go ahead. Cut me right off, yeah.
on the current website. If you go to the Economic Development Commission page, it looks different. It looks like it's its own website.
Yep.
So we have bought that same thing for the Economic Development Commission again. They call them department header pages, where the department page looks just like this, just with all of their information. And we can very easily do the same thing with the Affordable Housing Trust.
Perfect. Okay.
And it's a nominal fee
Yeah.
to add a header like that to make that little kind of like carve out website, I guess you would call it.
I think it's like $400 or $500 they said.
Yeah, to host that separate section. So we could always, work with the Affordable Housing Trust to do that. Then they have all their own access, which they can use their admin or whoever to
Terrific.
change all their content.
Good. Are we going to be updating existing links?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
So who's going to do that? And I'm just a little, not to get too much into the day-to-day stuff, but how's that going to work?
So at the very end of this process, Civic Plus is going to send us an extensive Excel spreadsheet detailing everything they did on each individual page and why, what they took, what they left behind, and what's there. So we can then take that, comb through it, and do the final cleanup before the site actually goes live. So we'll get that in the middle of September, and we'll then have 4 weeks to go in and polish the site.
Because we want to leave the broken links behind or the dead links and all the rest of it,
Sure.
and only take really what we're trying to do is take only what we need, because as we know, and I've said this in open meetings before, municipal employees are all hoarders, and they keep everything, and so they do that on their webpage too. They have to keep everything, and you'll go through our website and see that there are links to pages that have been dead in other places since 2012.
Yeah, I actually said the exact same thing on the meeting with Civic Plus today.
There you go.
So yeah.
So we're
I'm
we're
learning.
combing through that stuff to make sure we're not bringing any of that with us.
Right.
But also going through it with departments and saying, take only what you need to survive, and the rest of it that no one clicks and no one's using, we don't need to take that with us. We're gonna come up with new and better things that you're gonna be able to do with this more robust site.
Is that stuff going to be saved somewhere?
Some of it will, and some of it will not. I mean, we have any document that's been uploaded is in our server in somewhere. I don't know how to use the server. It's a whole thing. Does not work like my brain works. I don't know who set it up, but you know, so we have all of those documents. Some of those, you know, the links that are going to external sites that are important, we know what those are because those are ongoing programs that we're touching quite frequently. We're just really trying to be mindful of not taking documents with us that haven't been relevant for 5 years, and not even archivally. You know, there's some things that we might want to bring that are old that have an archival value to them, right? Will and I were just meeting today about the planning board's past projects. It's a huge, sprawling list, but there's probably some value in it to the people that live in the areas or in those developments or trying to get their heads around what's happening now and this is what happened before. So there's probably a use for some of that older documents, but you know, the one pager about the municipal center having a door closed in 2014 for 3 weeks. What are you going to do with that? We can just get rid of it.
Got it. I guess I'm just gonna make a pitch to do some testing when the data's in there around the search function, and then
Yep, so we did talk about that today. So as they're going through and uploading all of the stuff, they are indexing it, and it's all live text, so the search function will work better. And one thing we did talk about today in our meeting was potentially circulating the links to certain demographics of people, maybe down in the senior center, things like that, to really test the functionality of it.
Thanks.
To do it in ways that we might not think to test it.
Yeah. Yeah, that search function is going to be really important.
Yep.
The people aren't, especially people that are real casual visitors to the site, they're not going to know how to navigate through stuff easily. So even though it's more modern and obviously the big buttons are there and all that, so that's important. And also if there's any way to surface important documents with metadata like tags or whatever, search terms.
Yep, so I think that that's one of those things that's going to circle back to the new employee training, because we do have the capability to do meta tags. It's just, you know, making sure people know how to use them and know what they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say 90% of our staff don't know what a meta tag is.
Of course, but that's...
So right, I don't mean that to be like a declaratory statement. I mean it to be like, so we recognize that is a shortfall, and we need to be teaching people that that's important and explaining why that's important. Because I don't think anybody knows why that's important.
Because the problem is that you're right. It's not just municipal employees. Everybody hoards stuff, right? Like I'm only passionate about this because I do a lot of unstructured data work in my professional life, and it's very difficult when things accumulate, but they do. It happens in every environment, and this is no exception. So the documents are going to accumulate significantly over the coming years, no matter how much we get rid of. The only chance we have of surfacing the documents we want to in the right way is maintenance over time. So, and if there's any way that you can, and this is a tough thing in any environment, put in some housekeeping practices along the way to get rid of some of those old documents instead of once every 12 years that the website gets done.
Right.
That would be great. So, you know, you guys will do what you're going to do, but...
No, but I mean, I think that's part of the ongoing staff training. Because honestly, I learned how to use Civic Plus when I did a website refresh. Can't do anything now. Literally nothing. I can't figure it out for the life of me. It's not intuitive. I have to give everything to William because I've forgotten how to do it. I need another training. So that's my lesson learned over the years is that, you know, you need a quarterly refresh if you're not a super user, right? So Will's in there every day. He knows how to do everything because he touches it every day. I only get to come back to it every 4 months when Will's on vacation or whatever. I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Absolutely.
So you need that ongoing training to get people to be touching
100%.
the site.
Yeah, I mean, websites are like kind of like vacuums. They're really good for the first 6 months, but
yeah,
if they're not kind of maintained over time, they just don't work.
I will tell you that if you went to Munson's website for a whole year, it was missing a button because I deleted it and I would not pay somebody to get the button back. And then I've forgotten how to even get to that part.
Was it a large button?
It was a big button.
A big button.
It was a big button.
I have a question about the old, like www link. Is it going to be the exact same? Okay.
Yes. So up at the top, this URL is just different because this is just the test.
Okay.
When this site goes live, the old site will come down and we'll have the grafton-ma.gov.
Perfect.
And one thing I do just want to touch on based on what Matt was saying, this new software we're going through with Civic Plus is their proprietary software. It's kind of their baby, so they've been real helpful along the entire way. And they're, again, going to do training, and they're going to refresh the website for us every 4 years.
Awesome.
That's part of the package, so they will continue to help us along the way.
Fantastic. Good.
I have a question about report a concern. I get that that's just kind of like a test button now, but when they click that, does it show all the departments that they can go, you know, I have a concern for the rec department and I want to, or is it just a general concern and it goes to the town administrator to filter out?
That's what we've been doing.
Yep.
Currently, as it goes to the TA's office, and we delegate it out from there. Because the concern is that if we don't see it,
that's right. Yep.
We can't follow up on it.
Okay.
And some departments are fantastic, and others, you know, are maybe not as strong in that area. So we want to be able to keep tabs on it, which exponentially increases the amount of data that's coming through our office. But I think it's necessary.
Okay. Very fun. Do you have a comment or a question?
No, I mean, pretty much everything Matt said, I think we've had some conversations about. I think it looks nice. I'm waiting to see the search functionality.
We all are. I think that's going to be sort of the make or break on it.
I'm sitting on the edge of my chair.
Yeah.
Well, getting rid of this stuff from like 2012 is going to help a lot.
It is.
Because, you know, when you search right now, it comes up with a really, really long list. And if you're getting rid of jettisoning 70% of that data, that's in and of itself is going to help a lot. Yeah.
So the good portion of that is Civic Plus considers quite a few things as timely information, you know, news and announcements that were uploaded, things like that, press releases, and none of that stuff is coming over. So things that we put on the homepage in 2013 are being left behind.
Fantastic.
So one question on the online permitting, because that's what I use mostly in municipalities. Does this have a function of paying the fee?
That button will probably link directly to...
That button brings you to Viewpoint, which,
Viewpoint.
yes, you pay the fee right
Okay,
there.
good.
Goes through a software called Stripe.
Good.
And paying other bills, there'll be a button for that as well.
Yeah, so online permitting is probably, but it's probably going to take you to a landing page that then branches out because we have different mechanisms.
So many different ones, yeah.
Right, so if you want to do a dog license or pay for a birth certificate, that's a Unibank site that it's going to pull you off. So there'll be, the online permitting is not going to go directly to Viewpoint because it's got to be able to truncate you after that. But
So, like, I'm the opposite of Ray. I would never, I don't have a lot of permitting needs, but I go on there to pay, like, my sewer bill or my excise tax, and it's always pay your bill, so I know where to go.
yes, right. Now, and that's why we have it just one button that says online permitting. And then when you get to the landing page, it'll say excise tax, dog license. Even if the link takes you to the same place, it'll still give you every transaction because people don't know that you have to click the clerk's office to go to a dog license. We don't want that we don't want that extra layer of people having to know municipal government. We want them to just be able to say, "Oh yeah, dog license." Click.
Yeah, which is great, but if I was to pay my bill right now, I wouldn't think to click online permitting first.
I see what you're saying.
Me neither.
Okay.
That's not intuitive to me.
So I think you guys' approach with putting this in front of different communities is a great one. And I think getting feedback like that with people, you know, how do I get a deck permit?
Right.
You know, how do I pay a bill? You know, how do I report a pothole? You know, basic stuff that let them try to navigate it and just, you know, take the feedback. And I know there's a time that it takes to do that, but I think
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that, you know, Will and my approach, and well, pretty much everybody here in Grafton, you know, if we roll this out and then we find a button that doesn't do what we thought it was going to do, we're more than happy to take that feedback and tweak it. And we,
right.
we
This
do that
isn't
pretty consistent.
done.
Yeah. It's probably never going to be done.
Sure.
Right. One of the things that I like best about working with ClearGov, I was trying to do the capital plan last year, and I was just grinding to a halt on this one part, and I knew intuitively what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's not working. So I called ClearGov and said, I just can't get this to work. And she said, well, you're thinking about that button backwards. You're clicking it on, thinking it on is on and off is off, but it's backwards. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. Literally within 48 hours, they had redesigned that.
Oh.
Because she said, you know what? That is, I can see how that would happen. And that's, honestly, I've thought about that quite consistently, that level of customer service and the way that we want to operate here, where I'm trying to find my dog license. I can't find it. Well, click online permitting. Well, online permitting doesn't, I'm not permitting my dog. I'm getting a dog license. All right, fantastic. We're not thinking about it that way. Let's change the way that looks. So we're going to roll it out. We're going to do as much beta testing as we can. Then we're going to roll it out, and there will be things that don't work the way we intended, and we'll just tweak those as we go.
Love it.
And, you know, maybe I'll email Civic Plus tomorrow and say, you know, change that to permits and bills or something like that. And, you know, we go from there.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, awesome job, William. I'm very, very excited for this to get going.
Me too.
Did you have any other TA report or just this? Now's your chat.
No, this is it.
No.
Wrap it up.
We don't. We're good. I'm gonna scroll down though so you can see the big button one more time.
Excellent.
It's pretty rad.
It's a big button.
All right. Next is correspondence. Is there any correspondence anybody wants to talk about? Okay. And no resignations. And then we have public comment. Is anybody here for public comment or on Zoom?
Nope, no hands.
All right, and then we have a few sets of meeting minutes. I could take a motion unless anybody has any input or changes for those minutes. No, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to approve the meeting minutes for April 5, April 12, April 19, May 4, and July 26 as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor by roll call.
Mead eye.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
Declare the motion carried. Awesome. Thank you, Amber, for getting on all of that.
Yeah, that's she's really cranking them out, and they're very well done. So I'm very happy. Amber's doing a great job.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Awesome work.
Include that in
Thank
this
you.
set of minutes for
Yes.
yourself. All right. And that's it. So I can take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call.
Mead eye.
Often I.
Roy, aye.
Fully aye.
Jefferson, I.
All right. Good night, everybody.